Welcome to Disenfranchised, episode 7?
Seven.
I am your host, Keith Cunningham, and this is your other host,
Travis Gearhart, the Goyam.
and we are Disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised.
Well, it's kind of been I don't know, it feels like it's been a long time, but it really hasn't.
I'm still traveling. Still traveling. I'm in South Carolina now.
Yeah, you went from the West Coast, back home to the Midwest, and back to now you're on the East Coast. Man, you're just jumping time zones.
All over the place. Yeah.
Do you think we need to get rid of these time zones or maybe this daylight saving time since you keep bouncing side to side?
The time zones, I think we definitely need to keep because there is such a difference in, sorry, I realized my charger wasn't plugged in. I was just like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't want to be talking and all of a sudden it dies. Daylight savings time, I think, needs to go. I do think daylight savings time needs to go. I think, it just doesn't make sense anymore. I think the argument for it used to be that it saved, the ability for the farmers, if I'm not mistaken. I think somebody else said that it had more to do with energy usage. I don't know. I've heard a couple of things. At this point, though, I do. I think daylight savings needs to go. I think having this be this dark for so long. I mean, we're at least on the upswing now, but.
And I think, instead of bouncing an hour ahead or falling an hour back, why don't you just do 30 minutes, split it right in the middle, and keep it at that?
That's an option. That's a good
where
option.
I'm at right now. Split it in the middle and be done with it.
Well, it's kind of the same thing. They say that if you look at it mathematically, it's we're supposed to have like 13 months and you're supposed to, or something like that. What was it? And then every month starts on Monday. Yeah, is it the Mayan calendar? I don't know.
I think it was the Mayan
research.
I thought it was the Mayan calendar, 13 months, and every month
it was like 27 days or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. Every month was the same amount of days.
Yeah, and I think they all started on Monday.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, regardless, I actually brought my boy with me. So with South Carolina, they do not handle the cold very well. So of course I'm here, and I went from California where it was like beautiful 70-degree weather. I spent literally 36 hours in Indiana before I boogied out, just enough time for us to do the show where we interviewed Tyler. Name right, Tyler. Yeah, okay.
Tyler Bridges
Tyler Bridges.
District 11. Nice kid.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with him, and I saw some of his posts. He had some good things to say about us. I brought him up to Dion about the roundtable stuff, and Dion was like, hell yeah, let's do it, brother. So we have a really good interview scheduled we're going to do tomorrow. So that's going to be another fun one, another candidate. And then I think we're going to do a couple of non-candidates. In fact, one of our past interviews, I know, Keith, you wanted to bring up a little bit about our ghost hunter buddy.
Oh, yeah. God, why can't I? Michael McDowell, which is the place that he owns. Chaos. Why can I not think of it?
The Chaos Tours and whatnot.
Chaos Haunted and Historical Tours. Yeah, we interviewed him. It was actually a pretty good interview. Enjoyed it. But he made a post 2 or 3 days ago. He's wrapping up the case tonight with the homeowners. It was a case in Highland. I think it had to do with a poltergeist.
Yeah.
Special thanks to Professor Lloyd Auerbach, I think it is, from the Rhine Institute, for his help on this case. He'll do a full debrief online in the next coming days. He still needs to maintain privacy because it involves a child. But I think we need to reach out to him and not necessarily have another interview, but let's have a follow-up. Let's hear what's going on. And also,
I'm telling you, dude, I want to do a ghost. I want to do a ghost hunt with him. That's what I want to do.
So we had a birthday party. I was talking to my sister-in-law, and she tells us what the hell they live out in like Wheatfield, Rensselaer area. It's out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Rensselaer.
Yeah. And she's laying in bed sleeping. She rolls over and sees some guy hanging from the rafter. I was like, what the hell? And I guess up in the rafters, there's a date or a year or something carved in there. And she rolled over, seen some guy hanging in the rafters, and then she rolled back over. I didn't see shit, but Apparently something happened in her house. Maybe we might have to talk to McDowell and
That's
my
crazy.
sister-in-law. And
Ooh, maybe we'll do the ghost hunt there.
yeah, maybe.
That would be
We'll
kind of
see
cool.
though.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that would be cool. We go in there and it's just some guy that's like hung. Be like,
Yeah, it's just my brother-in-law.
he's standing there naked. I heard you were hung. I am. Oh, that would be great.
Oh,
He's dressed up like a ghost. It's just from like the bottom up, like with like a sheet
yeah, all
just
you see is
hanging out.
the sheet, and then you see a fucking trouser snake hanging down.
God. So speaking of, well, actually, that's a perfect segue because shit like that is what's probably going to make us be moving to Rumble sooner than later.
Well, hold on,
So
before we bring up
sorry.
Rumble, the interview we had with Mike McDowell, he talked about Moody Lane,
Right,
and
right.
we had a few people messaging us on our social media accounts. Hey, I've been to Moody Lane. It's real. I had a red orb fucking chasing me around and shit. I'm like, pretty interesting. I even asked one of them. I was like, "Would you like to come on and tell your story?" And they said, "Oh, maybe they'll come on, but they don't want their face shown, and they want to hide their voice. So maybe we could do one of those unsolved mysteries or whatever the fuck it
Right,
was
right,
called,
right.
where you block
We
their
could probably
voice
make
out."
that work. Hey, we can make that work.
Yeah,
But
that could
have
be
it, have it on
interesting.
there to be like, I'm sure they have different, like, good, make it like Trump's voice. It was a ghost. It was the biggest ghost. You've never seen a bigger ghost.
Yeah, that motherfucker was just chasing me around.
Oh, shit. But so we've been posting a lot on TikTok on the Tiki Talkie, and it's not taking very long before our episodes are getting or our clips are getting reported, and the volume is being taken out of them. So
Yeah, the video's still there. It's like a Japanese movie. Our lips are moving, but nothing's coming out.
yeah, so I mean, we're gonna keep doing it just because that's what we're gonna do. Right now, YouTube, Spotify doesn't care. Amazon, nobody, literally nobody listens on Amazon. If it wasn't basically just free for us to post it, we wouldn't.
And
Like
there's
if it
no
didn't,
effort to post it on there.
yeah, literally no effort to post it.
I think our biggest right now, it seems like, what do you think? YouTube and Apple, and
Yes, but that's
Spotify
what
is
I'm saying.
right behind.
Apple, I don't think cares. I don't think Apple cares, but and YouTube right now, I think YouTube is also in that category that once we start getting a little bit bigger, we're gonna either have to do one or two things. We're gonna have to really censor ourselves, which then we'll have to decide whether or not we want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to say whatever the fuck I want, however the fuck I want to say it. That's kind of the point of us doing this show. It's disenfranchised, not dis pussy. So like, that's my thing. So I'm team Rumble. I mean, I think that'll probably be the best case scenario. And from what I've heard on other podcasts, they're also a lot more freer with like not just the control but the monetary. Once you do start, and trust me, if you're listening to this, we're nowhere near being monetized by any stretch. But we've got, especially our clips, we've got quite a few listens on a lot of the
Yeah,
clips
some of
and views on.
our clips seem to take off pretty good, but well, the
We're
show with
literally 7 episodes in, so you got lots of time. But it was
Mike
just something to
McDowell went
bring up.
real show, the Ghost Hunter show, that went really good.
It did. It did. And we've got we got a lot of other bigger name guests that are coming up real quick that I think are going to really help get that ball rolling. And there's a lot of topics like for example, today, we obviously always start with sports, so we want to start with the Super Bowl. But after that, we do. I mean, how do you have a political show and not talk about the 5,000 pound Jewish gorilla in the room, known as the Epstein files? Like how do you? That's like we were kind of talking before the show, me and Keith, and going about what we wanted to, and that's when he was like, they're just gonna basically clip it or stop it, and I was like, well, then that's what they're gonna do. But I don't see how we can not talk about it. So, but we'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself.
We can start with Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We got Super Bowl predictions. The New England Patriots versus the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, Super Bowl odds are the Seahawks are favored over the Patriots. It says, what is it, a negative 230? A 70% chance of the Seahawks winning. That is
That's kind of high. I mean,
70%. How can you not go 50-50 in the Super Bowl? I'll tell you what. I'm picking the Patriots.
you're picking
I'm
the
going
Patriots?
I'm going the Patriots.
Man, I just think that defense is too good. And I think the fact that Drake May is still only second-year quarterback, and he looks good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything negative about Drake May.
Do a comparison. You got Sam Darnold. He threw for 4,048 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Drake May, 4,394 yards, so he's 350 yards more, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 6 more touchdowns and half the interceptions, 6 less interceptions. Now, then you got to look at their wide receivers. You got that Jackson Smith. Is it Smith Nigma? I can't say his name for the fucking life of me. But 1793 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. And then your favorite guy, Stephon Diggs with the Patriots with 1,013 yards. Does he not have any touchdowns at all? It's not giving me a stat for a touchdown. So
No, I know for a fact he's had touchdowns, unless it was called back. I remember watching him score a touchdown, didn't I?
It's
Yeah,
not giving me
because the
touchdowns
ball
on it.
came in and he just wrapped his hands around it.
Yeah,
And
he just fucking ball. He beat that ball like it was red-headed stepchild.
God.
Or he beat that ball like it was a fucking Goyim in an Epstein file.
Yeah. Shit. Oh God, dude, it's well, God. I mean, at least one of the Diggs brothers can play football. That's all I have to say. You know, freaking Cowboys. Cowboys have something wrong with us when it comes to our corners. I mean, you've got all the different. We were plagued with Brandon Carr for years, who didn't get rid of him forever, and he was a liability for Morris Claiborne. Didn't really do shit. He had his ups and downs, but for the most part, he didn't do nothing. Jordan Lewis didn't do shit till we let him go. Then all of a sudden, he started playing good. We had 2 years where Diggs had a great year, and then what's the other guy? I can't think of his name right now, but they both like won in those consecutive years the interception leaders, you know what I mean? They like broke records, all kinds of shit. And then as soon as they got it and got paid, they just disappeared.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
speaking of that, you got the Seahawks defense now. So
yeah,
that's where I think maybe the difference. The Seahawks defense is really, and I hate to say it because I don't want DeMarcus Lawrence to walk away from the Cowboys and get a Super Bowl his first year, just like goddamn DeMarcus Ware did. God, that pisses me off,
you realize that this is a rematch of the 2015 Super Bowl.
Yeah, a rematch that nobody wanted. Nobody cares. This is going to be.
This would be Seattle's second Super Bowl title if they do win, and New England's 7th, which is tying them for an all-time record. Now, here, this is something that blows my mind. Americans are expected to bet $1.76 billion on this Super Bowl. That's from
Crazy.
Reuters. That's an insane amount of money to be betting, especially when everybody in this country's broke.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. It just tells you that, that tells you how much confidence that everybody has that the economy is going to turn around, and nobody cares. Everyone's just spending their money. Fuck it. Spend it before it's not worth anything. That's what they're doing. Oh,
yeah, you gotta get rid of the paper.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. I know it's the easy thing, and I don't want DeMarcus Lawrence to get that Super Bowl win, but I also don't want the Patriots to get 7 freaking titles. Like, Patriots need to stay out of it for a little bit longer. They need to stay down. No. You guys just had Tom Brady. You just went on the epic run of any sports team ever, Just sit the fuck down.
Have you looked at any of the projections for 2026, the estimations for cap space for next season?
Any of the what? You
The
kinda
how much cap space is available for next season? Right now, with the most cap space, and this is just projected, 99 million available for the Titans, for the Tennessee Titans. And I keep seeing, see, I don't even want to talk about the Bears because all I see is trade rumors for this, trade rumors for that. I did see a trade rumor of DJ Moore being traded to the Titans. They've got the money. They do have the money for it. But I think you're look at the Raiders. The Raiders are sitting second for cap space, 88 million. They're going to have number one draft pick. They're going to have a new quarterback. Did the Raiders pick a coach yet?
I think
I'm not
yes.
sure if they did.
I think it's gonna be LaFleur.
Oh, the offensive
Not Matt,
coordinator.
the other one.
Yeah, not the offensive coordinator of the Chargers, I think it was.
No, no, no. Actually, I take that back. That's a different one. Raiders reportedly finalizing deal to hire Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak as the next head coach.
Look at that. Kubiak's going to get a new he's going to get a rookie quarterback, the
Yeah.
most cap space. So he's going to be able to build. I don't know how they look offensive line wise, but he's going to be able to stack that offensive line, build an offensive line around the new rookie. He's going to be sitting really pretty.
Yeah. I was the one I was thinking of, Mike LaFleur, who is Matt LaFleur's brother. He was just named the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the LaFleur brothers. I
they're
think
not the
they're
only.
going to let little Shorty walk. That's what I
They're
think.
they're not the only brothers out there because you got the Chargers and now you got the Giants. But
Yes.
but
Yeah.
okay, so that's that's the there's 10 teams from the Patriots. Well, here, Titans, Raiders, Chargers, Jets, Seahawks, Commanders, Bengals, Rams, Steelers, and Patriots. They 33 million or more available cap space. Now, here's the ones that are over the cap. Negative space. Green Bay Packers, Houston Texans, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, Buffalo Bills, Chicago Bears, Cleveland Browns, Miami Dolphins, Dallas Cowboys, 31 million, negative 31 million. Minnesota
Oof.
Vikings, New Orleans Saints, and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 58 million over cap. So they're going to be divvying out some players, and what they're going to want in return is 6th and 7th round draft picks, because that's
Wait,
usually
what are
how
they
that
going to want?
works.
That's so stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Cal,
6, 7,
6, 7, 6, 7.
6 and 7s. So
When I look at it, the Bears
But
are negative
yeah,
11.
the Cowboys
But
will do some restructuring though. I mean, the Cowboys are pretty good at that. Like they know they can.
well, here's the thing though: the Bears are negative 11, and they're want. Let's face it, they need to have a playoff run within the next couple of years before the cap really hurts them, because it's going to. Kind of like the
Yeah,
Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are negative 58, and right now, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but they're going to have to restructure. They're gonna be in a rebuilding phase for the next few years.
yeah,
I don't know.
yep.
Interesting.
They're gonna have to do a rebuilding
But do
phase.
you
They're
have any
gonna have
more for
to.
NFL? Because all right, well that's really all I got to say about the NFL. Cap space pretty interesting. Predictions are interesting. It's a lot of people are betting a lot of money. So
Yeah, and that's every year. Remember last year there was the guy that made the bet on himself that there would be a streaker at the Super Bowl, and then he went and did it.
It's a brilliant
Yeah.
move, though.
Oh, it is. That's super smart.
He
He,
bet on it.
yep. Did the old Pete Rose. But, well, so we were going to talk a little bit about some of the local races, but there's, I think filing deadline's just about done, right? We got another week.
February 6th, I do believe it is.
Yeah, so let's just wait. We'll touch on it next week, February 6th, so at the end of this coming week. There were a couple of ones that jumped out in there. We're going to have an interview with Brian Bowles at some point as well, one of the coroner candidates. So we got that to set up. Maybe we'll get into details more on that episode. But one of the things that we wanted to really touch on.
The only really
What's that?
thing I saw with the local elections is coroner race is kind of heating up. There's a lot of people, Biden for that position, and county commissioners. What was it, District 2? Basically the center of the county, Valpo area. I want to say there's 3 or 4. 2 Democrats, 2
Interesting.
Republicans running for that. But
All the
other
same
than that,
names.
nothing major.
Yep. Well, so like I said, without too much further ado, we've got the Epstein files that dropped. So to give some, I mean, there's 3 million files that dropped on Friday. Without going through all of them, basically, it looks like a lot of the Pizzagate stuff was pretty accurately, we were right. We were right on it. Bill Gates allegedly got an STD from a Russian hooker, and then he tried to get antibiotics that he could discreetly give to his wife without her knowing what it was. He and Epstein apparently had a falling out over this, and probably contributed to him being banned on Xbox Live, although I'm fairly certain that him being a confirmed pedophile at the time meant he wasn't supposed to be on Xbox Live anyways, but he was also active in...
This was confirmed? He was a confirmed pedophile, or is this still alleged?
At this point, he had already been convicted. Most of these files were from the mid-teens in the 2000s. 2008 was when he was convicted and was a sexual and was given the sweetheart deal. So he was a convicted sexual predator at this time. So here's the other thing about this, is that all of these correspondences that he has had with all of these people, 90% of these all happened after everybody already knew what he was. Like, that's the thing about this, There's some shit that he could conceivably be Zohran Mamdani's dad. There's shit where Donald Trump allegedly auctioned off children at Mar-a-Lago. Elon Musk tried to get on the island, but he was never cool enough to hang out there. He didn't have enough aura. George H.W. Bush allegedly raped a young boy who also claims to have witnessed Bush and other elites engaging in cannibalism and ritual sacrifice. It is now all but confirmed that Epstein had numerous ties to Mossad, and Trump is definitely compromised by Israel, and Epstein consistently used the word goyim and consistently talked about how he and the other Jews, let's just call them what they are, Zionists, were better than other people. There was a lot more. I mean, there is, and what's really interesting that I find interesting so much is you had emails reportedly show Epstein instructing former NBA Commissioner David Stern to wait in the lobby, and Stern responding, "That's for the goyim." QAnon, basically turns out that the founder of 4chan and the 4chan channel /poll/ was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Moot, I believe.
You have to, what the goyim is. So the goyim, that's 2 words into one, basically. Goy is anyone that is non-Jewish, and the goyim is basically a non-Jewish group or a non-Jewish country.
Right. Well, and that's why you have the Nick Fuentes' people, because obviously Nick Fuentes has been anti-Israel and generally speaking anti-Jewish, and that's why he calls it the Groyper. So it's kind of a play on that same words. Just in Lord Peter Mandelson resigns from the UK Labour Party over the Epstein links. Jay-Z shut down his Instagram due to the fact that there was allegations that he and another rapper raped women. So
Another thing that I want to put out there is it's you read this stuff, and I'm not saying it's not true, but how
yes.
much of it is true, is actually, is real, and how much of it is created by AI and then put out there. There's so much fake shit put out there now, it's insane.
See, I don't know. And that's kind of the question. I am waiting because a lot of people that are a lot smarter and a lot better at this shit than I am, they are running it through all kinds of computer things that can tell if it's AI, right? So
Yep.
as things kind of come out as being AI, there was a picture of two chickens, two like dead, like plucked like whole chickens on a table, and there was a black box over the thing that was in between the two chickens, well, person rather, and it was a baby. You could see the baby leg. So why the picture was taken of a baby in between two chickens, don't know. Really weird. Jeffrey Epstein had a bank account that he named what's the basically the devil bowl. Hold on. Jeffrey Epstein. He named it after the god of the basically the devil.
That
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
right?
whatever. Yeah. So it's this is my thing with it is how much of it is all just conjecture, how much of it is bullshit, how much of it is him feeding false information. I don't know. That's the thing about this, and the thing that I think is the most interesting is even if let's get real conservative here. Even if 10% of this shit is true, what it does show us is it does show us that he was at the very least a Mossad, if not agent, then some sort of super Israel ally, and he didn't do all this stuff on his own. He had he's pictures of him with Mick Jagger, all of the kings, queens, princes. I mean, was so super well connected, and it was so super well known that this guy was at the very least a pedophile. And they all joked and knew that he had a plane called the Lolita Express. So all these people knew it. And so that's, I think, is the most disgusting thing about it is that it's the whole George Carlin, it's a big club and you ain't in it. All of these people with all of this fucking money actually are as shitty and as fucking horrible as all of us generally think they are. And so again, even if it's only 10%, let's be real conservative. Let's say 10% of this shit turns out to be real. Well, a couple of things. We're never going to find out because right off the bat, the Trump administration has already said that they're not going to re-investigate shit. They've already said like, all right, well, you got your documents, but we're not going to do anything about it. Now, how do you move forward in life knowing that you pay taxes to Satan worshiping pedophiles, right? Like,
Yep.
how do you move? What do you do? Right? Right. I mean, we've been saying for forever now. I mean, we've got a whole podcast called Disenfranchised about how both the left and the right work together to just dismantle our rights and don't give a shit about us. And now you have the release of not even all of them. I mean, that's not even all of it. There's so much stuff. And that's the shit that they chose to not redact. Right? Like, what the fuck else is there? You know what I mean? Like you left in there that somebody accused George H.W. Bush of raping a boy and cannibalizing him, and that made it in. But the other stuff's redacted. I mean, at this point, you almost have to just assume that, especially all the Israel stuff, it really is kind of it's an eye opener in how much of it is not actually, it's not actually a conspiracy.
Or you look at it as we've kind of looked at a lot of things, it's political. It could be political theater. The reason why they left George H.W. Bush as raping and cannibalizing some boy is because it's so off the wall. It's so off the wall that somebody's going to see that and go, oh. this is what's in there, a bunch of bullshit, well, then I'm not even worried about the rest of the files.
Maybe.
The
That's a
the stuff
possibility.
that it's that crazy, I mean, I'm
But
gonna say
I
I
would
don't
think
believe it, but it makes me question, you know?
that is a possibility, but that combined with so again, I look at it and I was asking some of my other buddies, I go, why do you think that maybe they just really thought that in the 11th hour, some judge was gonna strike it down and say, "Never mind, you don't have to release this shit?" You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of really questionable stuff that makes me go, "I don't think these guys were prepared to actually release this." You know, like, there's some stuff that got some blocks over it, but man, oh man, there's a lot of
See,
stuff
I
that I
wouldn't say
think
that
that
they weren't
either made it through the cracks or what, you know?
wouldn't say that they weren't prepared. They're always prepared. I
I
the
I
ones
don't
I
think they were as prepared as you think because I think that they didn't really have a good idea. This is what I think. I think that some of this was released because you have the quote unquote deep state, right? So, if you're going to talk about the deep state, like the real reality is the deep state exists, but the deep state is the gigantic IRS, right? The deep state is the bureaucracy. The deep state is the people that are going to work for the system no matter what. They're bigger than the system. They're going to work within the system. I mean, you hear the stories of the people that were in the CIA and they said that, yeah, when they get it, like, well, what do you do when you get in a president that's not super friendly to the CIA? And they go, we just sit on it. We just wait it out. It's only 4 years, maybe 8, whatever. We just do what we want to do anyways. Fuck them. Like that's the quotes from these people. So I do think that some of this stuff is some of it was purposely released to smear particular people. Was some of that Trump? Maybe. I mean, Trump was real hot and heavy on it until he got into power, actually. And they said, hey, you know that your name's like all over these things, right? And then he did his about turn, right? I mean, why in God's name, unless you just have that that big of balls, which I guess maybe he does, but do you have that big of balls to run a whole campaign on this shit and then turn around and try to act like it didn't happen? Like there's a lot to unpack with it. And so again, even if not all of it's true, I think the fact that this exists, right? The fact that there is a these are all, you know, I'm waiting for people to run it through the systems like they'll do and then be able to prove that it's AI. But once they do that, and that'll happen pretty quick. Honestly, probably a lot of it, they've already done that. I mean, we're recording this Sunday night. These things were released on Friday. That's given us about 48 hours. If that was a bunch of AI bullshit, we probably would have already seen a lot of it, right? And that's not to say some of it isn't and there won't be things. I mean, there were some files that got released and then the DOJ quick tried to pull it back. Those are the ones that interest me a lot. And a couple of those ones were the ones talking about the Trump Mar-a-Lago, where there was a couple of things that said like, oh, if you don't do what we want you to do, bitch, we're going to bury you in the yard, just like we did all the other ones. Like, that's the stuff that's like, how much of that's true? I don't fucking know.
at this point, anything about Trump would be, I don't know how to say this, the most damning because, that would be used as a, what, form of blackmail? And
Exactly.
if
Exactly. And that kind of makes sense then. Well, then between having this type of shit hanging over his head and then the amount of money that he got from Miriam Adelson, from other donors that are pro-Israel Zionist, and then you've got Jared Kushner, his fucking son-in-law, doing basically a Trump hotel over there. I mean, I can't believe that that's even what they're doing in Gaza.
did we ever look to see how much money he received from AIPAC?
Who, Trump?
Yeah, I don't even think
Oh,
we
a fuck
looked.
ton. It was a fuck ton. He got us so much money from APAC. APAC, Miriam Adelson, directly from her. I think he said it was like 20 million or something stupid. Like he got a lot of money. He got a shit ton of money. That's not even debatable.
Yeah.
Um, so
I'm gonna
yeah,
search
dude,
it up.
it's yeah, search it up. It's
See.
a it's such an about face. The Ukraine war stuff was interesting. All the Rothschild stuff has been interesting. I am very much wanting to see what happens because, I'll be real honest with you. The fact that they're not really interested in looking up any of this stuff gives me no faith whatsoever in the system. I,
Oh,
I just don't have faith in the system anymore, man.
it says that 230 million.
I think I said 20 million. Even that sounded way too low
Well,
when I
s-
said it.
super PACs, pro-Israel interest groups, including super PACs supported by major donors, have been reported as spending over 230 million benefiting Trump since 2020 in independent expenditures and other campaign spending. A large portion of that, over 215 million, comes from Preserve America PAC, which is aligned with pro-Israel policy priorities, is financed almost entirely by Miriam Adelson, a billionaire donor, not APAC itself, though. So let's see. So it doesn't look like it's necessarily coming from APAC. Looks like there's multiple offshoots off of APAC that are the same
Yeah.
fucking thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all the same, money. I pulled up a couple of other things too. There was the Prince Andrew who supposedly tortured a girl and then had her killed. That was another big one. There was a couple of different ones, especially with yeah. Ghislaine Maxwell was a high-ranking moderator on Reddit. There was a thing where he was able to pay off, he hacked into Wikipedia. He hacked into Wikipedia and changed it so that it didn't say that he was a pedophile anymore because he was like he wanted his image, you know. Um, yeah, just yeah, it's kind of. I mean, what else do you say about it, man? You're supposed to be able to operate within the system. While I'm pulling this stuff up, I see a Thomas Massey's um competitor, I'm sorry, primary challenger, sorry, just got $750,000 donated by Paul Singer, the owner of distressed Venezuelan oil company Citgo. Think of that. Citgo, distressed Venezuelan company Citgo, just the Paul Singer just gave, or Singer, whatever. I'm gonna make sure I say it right.
We'll
Paul
say
Singer, just gave $750,000 to Thomas Massey's challenger because he pushed for this shit to be released. That's where it makes me think that this shit's real. You know what I mean? And that they were caught with their pants down, that they couldn't do the redacting as much as they wanted to. They did as much as they could with the files and the time that they had. But in this day and age, there was only so much they could do. That right there is the interesting thing. The Thomas Massey's, what was the chick that just quit? Marjorie Taylor Greene. The Marjorie Taylor Greenes of it, although, like I said, she kind of waved the white, she took her ball and went home. That kind of pissed me off. Yeah. I mean, if there's ever been a better reason to get
took
out of
her,
this bullshit system, this is it.
took her ball and went home, but at the same time, um, we don't. What was she worried about? Was she threatened? I mean, we have no idea.
She probably was. I really do think that. I think she was threatened. I think, and you know what I think it was? I think it was too big for her. I think she had an inkling of some of the stuff that we're reading now. I think she knew what was going to come. I think she saw that we were going to go to war again very soon. She saw the writing on the wall, and she said, "You know what? I am what is she, like, early 50s?" She's like, "I'm still young. I made some money." She was one of those that she made some stock market money. She was, she wasn't as bad as some of the other ones, but she did. She did some trading that was, a little eyebrow raising, so and she said, "Fuck it, I'm out." She'll probably write a book. She'll probably start a podcast. She'll probably join that, but it's kind of the same thing as Dan Bongino. You had the opportunity to get in and really change something, man. Although Dan Bongino is worse because he decided to come out and just be just a bitch. You know.
Well, we're almost 50 minutes in. Another thing I want to ask you, going off topic, but not necessarily going off topic. In our last interview with Tyler Bridges for District 11 in Indiana, he mentioned in there something about, oh, I don't remember exactly how it was worded. It was talking about age. There was you have to be a certain age before you can run. Does there need to be an age restriction on when is too old, basically, to run?
Right, right, right. I think
Um,
that's interesting.
it's an interesting question, but Joe Biden, he's 83 now. He was born in November 20th, 1942. Trump, June 14th, 1946. He's 79. Have you seen any of Valentina Gomez's videos lately?
Yeah, I have. She's
Sh
still so just up Israel's asshole. Like,
I know.
that's my biggest problem with her. Like, she wants to, she's like, "You know why we can't do this, in the airports? Because of the Muslims, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, you know, that's fair, sure, okay. But, like, I don't know, it's just so low IQ. Like, it's
Yeah.
so and
She's
that's it. They're like,
she's running against John Carter. He's 83 years old. And she's basically saying the same thing about John Carter as everybody said about Joe Biden. He's mentally not there anymore. But do you think there should be an age limit on how old is too old? Do you think there should be an age limit? Now, when me and you talked about it a few days ago, um, I know people they're 65, they're sharp as a tack. And I know people that are 65 and they got one foot in the grave.
right.
You do too. And same with 80-year-olds. I know some 80-year-olds that are there, and then some that just aren't. It's
Yeah. I mean, I think term limits solves that problem though. You know what I mean? Like I think if you enact solid term limits, you don't have the opportunity to live in your office, right? You don't have the opportunity because if you only have 2, 3, I don't know, pick an arbitrary fucking number. I mean, at this point anything's fucking better than what we got.
well, at the same time, though, when you really think about it, I would say, yeah, you're right. Term limits would solve that, but I think another thing that could solve it is when you look at
Armed revolution?
uh,
No, but I was kidding.
how much
Joking, joking.
how much money they're receiving, like your 2-year term or 4-year term or 6-year term. Look at how much money they're collecting throughout them years. Now, think about well, I'll use Valentina Gomez for example. I've never heard of her. You've never heard of her till now. She's controversial to
The
her
people of Missouri
controversial
heard about her
videos.
though, because she's a fucking carpetbagger.
Time from when she decided she was going to run till the election, that's her small gap of bringing in enough donations to run a campaign. You're going up against somebody. If it's a first term, let's use Senate for 6 years. If it's first term, they've been God, what do they call it? A war chest. They've been creating a war chest for 4 or 5 years. And then if it's somebody on their second and third term, you're going up against somebody that has a war chest, in the
Yeah.
millions, in the billions. And here you are. Oh, I've got 6 months of savings or 6 months of collecting donations to go after you or to try to beat you out. At that point, when the pile of money that you're because it all comes down to money. Whoever's got the most money is typically gonna win. You you don't even have to put out the best message, but if you have commercial after commercial after commercial, as much as we say, "Jesus, I'm sick and tired of hearing this fucking guy." That's us. Somebody new is hearing them every single day, and then when they go vote they go to the ballot box, they go, "Oh, well, I've heard this guy 100 fucking times, and I've heard this person twice. Obviously, the guy that I've heard 100 times is right." They punch his
Yes.
name.
And they rely on that. And this is where, again, I need a little fucking tinfoil hat to fucking slide over this. This is where you then look at the average American voter. And so yeah, you and I can have this conversation. We're, an hour into talking about this, among other things today. We're able to, we got a couple of brain cells to rub together. I don't consider myself to be the smartest person in the world. I don't need to be the smartest person in the world to be able to connect some of these fucking dots. But it is real funny when you look at that and you say, well, you'd have to be a real fucking retard if you think that just hearing that message over and over again, even if it is a shitty message, is going to make you fucking vote. Well, guess what? There's a lot of real fucking retards out there. And they
Yeah.
show up and they vote. And they fucking Democrats and Republicans, let's be fair, they both fucking showed up like in Indiana, just pull straight. You don't even got to fucking pay attention. Straight D, straight R. Just pull the straight ticket. Just don't think. Please, we don't want you to think. When you think, we have issues. Please don't think. In fact, the education system has been really fucking broken for a long time. And do I think that it was done on purpose? I don't know. You're getting a little bit out there. But I do think that there's always a little bit of truth to all these
I like how you
conspiracy
blame
theories.
me.
Do I think that they're in a big rush to fix it? Do I think they're in a big rush to fix the damn thing? Probably not, probably not. I don't think they're in a big rush to fix it. I think that they're okay getting these other laborers from other countries that are cheaper, you know. Republicans are fine with that. They don't give a shit. It was interesting because a lot of the same stuff that you and I started talking about on this show when all the ICE stuff was first happening in Minneapolis, right? And we were talking about it, political theater. This is just a show. I mean, I'm pretty sure that we were saying it even before even like Nick Fuentes was saying it, before anybody else was saying it. I know he was a big one that's kind of saying the same sort of deal. This recent stuff that happened, I was listening to like this weekend's round of kind of podcasts like Scott Horton and Daryl Cooper and stuff. And they're saying like, well, yeah, you think that this is not necessarily, maybe even if it wasn't done on purpose, it gives them a really good excuse not to. So it doesn't matter if it's done on purpose or not. If you set them up to fail, all you got to do is find one excuse to back out of the deal. And that makes perfect sense. None of Trump's donors want us to get rid of any real significant illegal immigration, even though we need to. But the manner in which we've been doing it has been asinine. We hired a
Well,
bunch of assholes
yeah, but
that didn't know what they were doing.
uh, here's another thing that, we can talk about. It'll never happen. I think you can stop the flow of illegal immigration, and you could, basically have them deport themselves if you stop giving them welfare. No more free food, no more free housing, no more free phones.
No more free
Eliminate
anything.
all that bullshit. There's no reason to be here then.
Yep.
And if you wanna come across and you're here to work, if you're here to actually work, I don't have a problem with you. If you're here to work, why don't we help you, give you a leg up, and help you assimilate to become American? Help
Yep.
you become a citizen.
Well,
But no, instead,
because all the assimilation shit's been bullshit since the beginning of it. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing about it is when you really look into that whole melting pot thing, that was that see, I've been doing some research about that recently. A lot of that had to do with and again, not to be like the Jews, Jew. I'm not trying to be, Alex Jones here or anything.
we're gonna get shut
But
down now. You fucking said it too
that's
many
it.
times.
All of a sudden, the power just turns out. They have an EMP blast in South
It's like,
Carolina.
Beetlejuice. You can't say Beetlejuice,
Yeah,
Beetlejuice,
yeah.
Beetlejuice.
You yeah, you say it 3 times and it's like, "Oy vey, where have I
Mhm.
been?" So, that's a really bad one, but, no, so but that was kind of like propaganda of, like, the American, like, melting pot and blah, 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 and, "Oh, we need to bring people in," and that was because there was a lot of Jewish immigrants. We didn't bring in any immigrants for a long time, and there was a big push of them saying, "Hey, no, you please take us," you know? And I understand that, I get that, you know what I mean? I don't think that's a conspiracy, that's just doing what's best for you and your people, right? But now we're Americans, and that's what we need to do is what's best for us and our fucking people. And that's not by a color thing. I mean, you're Scottish, I'm German, you know, my girlfriend's Irish. One of my best friends, Ron, he's Mexican. A bunch of, I have numerous different, people in my life that have different shit. Doesn't matter. That's not what my point is. My point is though that, the no on the vacancy sign is lit up. We can't afford to keep taking care of other people. The same reason I'm against us taking over Greenland. We can't afford it. We can't afford to fucking take
Well,
care of the people we have here now. And
yeah.
so we already have so many people being employed, and there's no fucking way that you should be importing more people.
Yeah, we cannot continue offering a free ride for anybody that comes over, but at the same time, we send out money and we give free rides overseas also. It's just
Yes, and
either
that's the
way.
problem. Well, and then you see all of the stuff that Elon Musk found in Doge that got shut down real quick as soon as they discovered that all of their NGOs weren't going to be funded anymore, and that most of those were just goddamn slush funds. All of a sudden that all disappeared, and all of a sudden all the Republicans that were really big pro Doge all voted against fucking those cuts, didn't they? We covered that on what, 2 shows ago? So it's
Yeah.
all connected. I mean, that's the funny thing about it is that too many people don't connect these dots together. They don't say, well, no, I'm a big fiscal hawk, but boy, I'm also really big war hawk. Well, no, you can't be both. That's not how this works, man. You can't be okay with us shipping money overseas. Like you can think that we need to have a foreign policy that, that is not, like you don't have to be a dove per se. But like what about what our foreign policy right now is affordable? It's not. We have people all over the place. We have people going all
Well,
we're bombing random ass goddamn places. How many places did we bomb last year? We covered on one of those shows, 13. There were
yeah.
13 different countries that we bombed.
Well, none of it's affordable. I mean, right now, you know, what Venezuela had to do with oil. It was oil. It's based on the petrodollar. If the petrodollar goes
Yep.
away, we're screwed. We haven't been backed by gold since what, 71? It started back in 1913. We're not backed
Yep.
by gold, we're backed by petro, and we're backed by interest, basically.
Yep.
Um, they do away with that, and we're fucked. We're gonna drop into a depression.
I think it's probably too late, if I'm being really honest. And I don't want to sound really defeatist or chicken little or skies falling, whatever. But man, like I feel like it's too far, too much, man. Like I feel like whether we like it or not, that I feel like the federal government is going to have to dissolve. If it
Another
does,
thing that I heard that I find interesting, don't know if it's true or not. I heard that Fort Knox is empty. I heard it's
I've heard
empty.
that.
I've heard there's no gold there.
There was
Um,
supposed to be an audit of it, was one of the things I think Rand Paul pushed it hot and heavy, if I'm not mistaken, Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, and they never did audit Fort Knox. We have no idea what's in there. They won't let us in.
but at the same
No,
time,
not
what does it
us. I'm not
the
there with like a
dollar's not
badge.
backed by gold. It's not backed by gold now anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah. I think it matters because I think for auditing purposes, I think it matters about whether or not, we're being lied to even more by our
Well,
government. I mean, at this point, how you'd be a fool to believe anything that comes out of any politician's mouth ever
well,
at
I've
all.
also they're talking about possibly doing QE again, quantitative easing. If they do that again, it's going to devalue the dollar even more. and then they sit back and they blame inflation on all the businesses and corporations. It's not the business. It's your constant quantitative easing and printing of money that's causing inflation. It's not the businesses. It's the government. And what
Well,
pisses
it's
me off is they're printing this money, and they're not printing it to help us. None of it comes to
no,
us. It never comes to us. It
no.
starts some fucking bullshit war overseas that does nothing for us. It
Yep.
kills everybody's fucking kids. That's all it does.
Yep. Well, it kills everybody's kids. They try to say that it's like, oh well, like in the case of like different countries, Israel one of them. You know, it's money that they spend, and then they say, oh well, it ends up helping American businesses because we buy war supplies from you. But yeah, but we have to borrow it from China. And then we have to pay interest on the loan that you guys don't have to pay. So there's that. The other thing is that, and there was a thing the other earlier today in one of like the economic illiterate, I think is the name of the group. Like, congratulations, you're economically illiterate, something like that. Some Facebook group I'm on, and somebody did some rant about billionaires and like, oh well, you can tell we're in late stage capitalism because of all these billionaires. And I go, and I made a little. They actually deleted the post because I was a little annoyed. I don't think it was my comment in particular. I think there was a lot of other people's comments that were way nastier. But my comment was, well, for one, of course there's more billionaires now than ever because of the way that the money has been inflated, right? So we've had more it just makes sense. So when the dollar gets inflated and you own this much and the fucking money goes up, well, there you go. That makes why wouldn't you, I mean, Elon Musk's about to be a fucking trillionaire, right? He's on path. So it makes sense then when
But
you
at the
look at
same
how.
time, $1 trillion that doesn't if
Well, the other side
$1 trillion
of it
only
too is what I
buys a
said is
million.
I said is that the billionaires used to be the exceptions to the rules, right? You only have a billionaire because you are literally propped up by the government. The people that are that are billionaires, how did Elon Musk get all of his money? Government contracts. How did fucking Jeff Bezos get most of his money? A lot of it government contracts. I mean, all of these guys, they get into the government. So if you didn't have the government getting its greedy little pig hands to
Or
every
if
aspect of our economy.
you wanna look at, what the fucking Elon Musk. You say, "Oh, what did he start with?" Because he didn't start with government funding, he started with, PayPal. So he was making money off of
PayPal Mafia.
interest, and then if you really look into world history, charging people interest has been banned in many countries over the years.
Yeah.
Whole
You
groups of people have been kicked out of countries because that's what they do, is they create a fucking banking system and then charge you interest. And here we are getting
109 of them
fucked in the
actually.
ass by it. What's that?
Said 109 of them actually.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah,
I
dude.
I,
It's
and then you know what really I watched a video earlier today about, I can't remember the president's name with the World War II. What was the president?
FDR.
FDR. FDR knew in advance that Japan was headed towards Pearl Harbor. He knew in
I've read that too.
advance, but he allowed it. He allowed it to happen. He did not warn them because he needed a reason to get thrown into World War II. Seriously? You're not gonna defend your own people? What the fuck? What is and he goes down as he's one of the greatest presidents of all time. No, bullshit.
There was a
If
lot of
that's
shady
true,
shit about
you're a
FDR.
piece of shit. If that's true,
Yeah,
you're a
there was a
piece of
lot of.
shit.
Well, him and Churchill, there was about a lot of shit. Well, that's what got Daryl Cooper in so much trouble. The Martyr Maid guy, because he went on a show and he does a lot of long form, like not even alternative historical stuff, but he does like deep dives into stuff that you don't really, like, hey, there's some other people that had some other things to say about Winston Churchill. Here's what they said. And this is some of the facts surrounding it. And I actually I follow his stuff. I pay him $20 a month to to be on his Martyr Made, Substack shit. And it links to my Spotify and all that stuff. But that's what got him into so much trouble was that he was on Tucker Carlson a year and some change ago, and he was talking about how, like joking, and he kind of said jokingly, he goes, I kind of give some of my friends some shit that were like big Anglophobes, no, Anglophiles. Anglophobe, I guess, would be like like not liking the English, but Anglophiles are like people that are like super into like the Beatles and all that shit. And of course, then they're big Churchill fans because, you know, Churchill, English, all blah blah blah. And so he he kind of joked around and said, "Yeah, he's the real villain of World War II." Like it's like a joke, like an off the cuff fucking. And that was when they're like, "Oh, he's a Nazi," and he's not. Daryl Cooper is actually, who he reminds me? He reminds me of Kevin Tracy. Um, Hi, Kevin, if
But
you're listening. I don't know if you listen, but he's just very like, kind of like very matter of fact. This is my stuff. Not that Kevin thinks of that stuff, but that's just his mannerisms does. But that's the thing about it, man, is that there's a lot of historical stuff. I mean, look at Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, who worked for Mossad, was one of the people that was in all the Epstein stuff. I might be confusing my facts. If it's not like the textbooks were owned by them to say, hey, this is what the historical stuff is. And then you see all the stuff that comes out in the Epstein files and shit, and you hear stories like that, and you're like, why was that never investigated? Even if it was investigated and it was like deemed like questionable, why when we were sitting in fucking World War II class, didn't Waywood say like, hey, this was part of it? I don't know. It was never really. We don't know. There's a chance. If he did, I sure as fuck don't remember. I would have thought would have remembered that, but they don't want to fucking put that out there. They don't want to say that. They don't want to say, I will say I do remember in that class him saying about how really, if you want to put a lot of blame on why World War II happened and why you had the rise of Nazi Germany, was how shitty Germany was treated after World War One. I do remember him kind of espousing on that a little bit. So I'll give credit where credit's due. But for the most part, stuff like the other stuff wasn't taught to us, you know?
World War I, they were stripped of all their gold and silver, so their dollar at the time, I'll call it, had no value. So they had to create
Deutschmark.
a yeah, their Deutschmark. So they had to
Deutsch.
create a new banking system with a different value, and they tied the value.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that documentary you were telling me about.
It's pretty interesting. But
Yeah.
we're at an hour and 13 minutes. I know you have to cut some of this out of there because we had a little technical
Yeah, but it's not gonna be
difficulties.
13 minutes worth of time. So
Yeah,
so
we'll be
yeah, it's
good.
still that's still, and I think we're at a good spot. I think we talked enough about the Epstein stuff with what we know about it now. I think there's going to be more that comes out about it, man. I really do. I don't think this is going to be. I think that if this was a political theater kind of thing, kind of full circling back around, like, and if it was kind of a bunch of made up bullshit and it's a political calculation, I think it's probably a pretty piss poor political calculation, because I don't know what your feeds look like the past 2 days, but this has pissed a lot of motherfuckers off. And if you want to talk about whether or not there's going to be people showing up to vote and all this other stuff, I don't know, dude. I am, I'm still running. I'm still running as a libertarian candidate for, for that state rep,
You know what? I
District
will put
4.
out there.
And so I want to get it. What's that?
I will put out there that I like how your candidacy, you have your 6 points that you're hitting on, and that's kind of what you're sticking around. And I like how Tyler Bridges, his main focus was on education. I would rather prefer you paint with a nice fine brush than just one giant broad stroke, because the broad stroke, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bridges.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I know what the numbers look like. I think that there's a solid chance that if there's going to be a year that you elect a libertarian to a state rep seat, I think this is one of them, and so I'm encouraged, but I also know that what did we say earlier? There's a lot of real fucking retards out there that are going to
I
show
know
up and
I
pull
watched your,
somebody. We got straight ticket voting. We got lots of shit going against us. I think in the spring it's gonna be a lot of door to door. I think when I go do a lot of door to door and I hang a lot of door hangers, and my game plan is to have like door hangers where it's like the little box that you scan with your phone and it'll pull it up. My door hanger, I already have some pretty cool designs kind of in mind
QR
that is just
code.
yeah,
Are
yeah, I think that's the way
What
to
if
do
we
it.
did coffee cups with QR codes?
I don't think coffee cups are gonna be a difficult, you know I think coffee cups I think instead of coffee cups, we should do shot glasses.
There you go. Yeah, with just a
"Hey,
little
give me a
QR
shot.
code on
Give me a shot. That's all. Give me a shot, motherfucker."
it.
Yeah. How many other candidates willingly go on and say, "Motherfucker"? Only in 2025. I mean, if there's one good thing about this is that, dude, everyone's just so sick of the fucking status quo, dude. Trump was elected and all the Republicans were put in a last ditch effort to be like, all right, Jesus, they just fucked us over with COVID. We had this brain dead asshole fucking in here forever, talk about Biden. And then Trump went in and just said, you know, I'm just
So
gonna shove it up your ass.
when they're talking about what district are you for? I think it's District 4. When they're
Yeah.
talking about you and, Kamanakis and Soliday, they're gonna say, "Oh, Soliday, he's down there voting, but he's not saying anything. He's not putting anything on social media. He's not saying shit. Oh,
Uh-uh.
Kamanakis, he put out another fucking video that you had to gag while you're watching this shit. And then, oh, Travis, well, this time he broke a record. He said fuck 140 times in the first 30 minutes of the episode.
You know what? I would rather lose 100% of the fucking vote and have that be what I'm going down as, because you know what? I'm not gonna just create it is, dude. And I've already seen the mailers from Ed Soliday, him wearing his business suit, just looking, we've already seen the social media from the other guy. It's all just fucking typical political Republican Democrat. They're just singing the same goddamn dance. They're doing the same dance, the same fucking tune. There's nothing exciting about these fucking candidates. Nothing exciting. It's gonna be the same fucking shit. If for some reason Soliday gets out and the other guy gets in there, he's just gonna show up and be an empty fucking suit, just like all of them, man. I don't have any faith in the system at this point, dude. Fuck the Republicans, fuck the Democrats. That's Sorry, man. Like, fuck them both. We've given them both what we're about to turn around 250 fucking years. Was George Washington the only one that wasn't politically fucking oriented? Yeah, you had Teddy Roosevelt with the Bull Moose Party, but for the most part, it's been Republicans and Democrats taking turn, bending us over and butt fucking us.
Well,
And I'm done.
since Lincoln, it's been Democrat, Republican.
Was he the first Republican? I thought there was some Republicans before him.
No, I'm pretty
I know
sure
there was
Lincoln
was he? Okay.
I mean,
I don't
oh,
remember. It's been so long. I know there was a couple of different the Whig Party. There was a thing for a
yeah.
minute. I forget. I'm not a historian.
Fun fact, Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president. He was elected in 1860. He served from 61 to 65.
But he wasn't the first Republican, right? Like there were other Republicans that ran and lost.
I don't know. First,
Is my question. Like he didn't like create the Republican Party, right?
I don't know. Run. I'll just ask. First Republican to run for run for anything. The Republican Party was founded in 1854, largely in opposition to the Kansas-Nebraska Act and the expansion of slavery. Their first candidate for a major office was John C. Fremont, who ran for president in 1856. So the party started 6 years before Lincoln was president, and John Fremont was the first one to run 2 years after the party was created.
Well, and so on that, so that's where I think the other side of it is somewhat encouraging, because I listen to a couple of left-wing more podcasts that just to get, I like to, it's important to get all kind of ideas and sides, and because the John Kiriakou he calls himself more like left-leaning libertarian, right? When you ask him where his politics lie, he used to be a Democrat, though. In fact, he used to be a staffer for John Kerry. And so one of the things that listening to those guys on their show, and they talk about, because they can't stand Democrats, they talk about Democrats the way we talk about Republicans. Like, those fucking pussies, they're not going to do shit. This is what they should do, blah, blah, blah. But the funny thing is that they were talking about it on the show the other day, and they said something about, like, wouldn't it be nice if the left wing, the right wing kind of has the libertarian, which is kind of like the more straight constitutionalist, Ron Paul, Thomas Massey, even though those guys are Republicans, like, straight libertarians, are in that vein, right? I mean, as a whole, there are elements of the libertarian that party that are a little more like open border type stuff. And I obviously don't agree with that, but whatever. Again, no one's going to agree 100% on 100 things, right? But they had said why it now would be a good time if they were to have like a left wing party that is like almost like a left anti-war party or some shit, right? And then those would be like the two anti-war left and the anti-war right, and then you'd still have the Democrats that stand for nothing and the Republicans that stand for nothing, big business, whatever. Yeah, so that would be, I think that could conceivably be salvageable of the Federalist Union, maybe. But if not, I have a hard time believing they would let it happen. The political parties.
It's kind of
But
interesting if you look at the history of the parties. Oh, the Democrat Party, the roots go back to the 1790s. You could say the modern Democrat Party started in 1828. The core beliefs of the Democrats in the 1820s sound more like us: limited federal government, strict interpretation of the Constitution, favored state sovereignty over federal power.
anti-federalists, Jeffersonian Democrats.
Jacksonians, that's what they're called.
Oh,
They
there's
oppose.
a Jeffersonian Democrat branch as well.
Is there?
They were very anti-federalist. Yeah, because the
It's
Federalist Papers were written by
Andrew Jackson, or wait,
Andrew Jack. No, who wrote the Federalist? Hamilton. Andrew Hamilton.
huh? It's kind of interesting when you look
Hold
back
on,
at it.
hold on.
The Democrats were a populist, anti-elitist, pro-agrarian, pro-states' rights, but they
Alexander Hamilton. Dude, we watched him.
Alexander
Shush.
Hamilton.
Sorry, go ahead. You
Tell
only
the
gauge.
boy. Tell the
Yeah,
boy
tell
to
the
shut the hell up.
There have been a couple of times he's laughed at a joke or something. I hope that it makes it into the audio.
Does he
It makes
want?
me think of like when you watch Tim Dillon, and Tim Dillon has like his background guy kind of laugh, and you hear it just faintly.
Does he want me to tell the story of when I was off, when I had a heart attack and I went to a wrestling meet and your son came up and talked to me? Does he want me to tell me that story? He told me the wrestling move that he was going to do on this kid.
What was the wrestling move? I don't remember. What
I
was
won't
it?
say it. It was funny though. I like that
Alright,
he
we'll
didn't
keep
care if he won or lost. He just had to pull this move off. But all right, though, we're damn near at almost hour and a half, so I think
Yeah.
this is good.
Well,
But
I think it was a good show. Pretty good show. Really good
yeah,
show.
not too bad. Well, this is episode 7. I'm your host, Keith Cunningham. This is
And
Travis
I'm Travis
Gearhart.
Garrett,
Cheers.
disenfranchised. Peace.